Gerblings, I've decided we as a group need to do some retrospection. And in today's retrospection, we're going to be talking about 2021 in rookies. Do you guys know what a rookie is? Let me explain. It's a lot easier in other sports because we have drafts. So obviously a rookie year is going to be after you get drafted. But in Counter-Strike, it's a little different. Our definition is kind of whenever a player moves from tier 2 to tier 1 and debuts in a tier 1 tournament. So for example, 2023 Donk joined Spirit but didn't play in a tier 1 tournament until 2024. So 2024 is his rookie year. An easy way to figure this out is just go to a player, click on different years, put the top 10 filter on the events tab. When stuff starts to pop up, that's probably their rookie year. And I was thinking, I don't actually know any of the Counter-Strike year rookie classes, I guess. So I wanted to go back and actually see year by year what rookies we had. And I think it's best to start with 2021 because at this point, it was kind of easy to move up from tier 2 to tier 1. So without further ado, let's get into ranking these puppies. For starters, we have Jaquinho, however you want to say it. He replaced legendary Fnatic rifler Flusha at the start of 2021. He originally got noticed as a young, promising Swedish AWPer in 2020 when he posted a 1.29 rating with random Swedish 5 stacks at tier 2 online tournaments. And Fnatic needed some juice as they've been doggy for a while now. But Fnatic, being the geniuses they were, still had JW. So he was signed as a rifler, not as an AWPer. You would think this would go terribly, but it actually started out not too bad. In his debut tier 1 tournament with the team, they would actually make the finals and come in second place, where he would have a fine showing, dropping a 1.02 rating. But unfortunately, this was followed up by 2 stinkers. Eventually, he would actually get to use the AWP, but by that point, I mean, the team was kind of too far gone. They would be bad all year and end up missing the major, and he would end his rookie year with a 0.96 rating against top 20 teams. Not a great rookie year, but it was Fnatic, and they were kind of a shit show, so maybe he could do better on other teams. Let's see what he did afterwards. He'd float around tier 2 for a while and eventually end up as Metasport's AWPer in late 2023. Now, Metasport is also a tier 2 team, but they were quite a strong one, so if he was to make another impression on tier 1 teams, it would have to be now. Unfortunately, he'd only post a 1.01 with the team and be benched in August of 2024. Today, he plays for Copenhagen Wolves, and in 2025, he has a 1.03 rating. An exciting young upping prospect, but he was put into an incredibly strange situation and simply couldn't translate to tier 1. I gotta give this a D tier. North and South America have had a talent problem for quite a few years. Sure, you'll get some good riflers, but there's just a complete lack of IGLs and AWPers in both scenes. So when Junior started impressing in Tier 2 NA, he quickly became an exciting prospect. But instead of joining an NA team, he was picked up by Furia. A few things to note here. Furia's AWPer Henny just placed 16th in the top 20 list, but decided he wanted to leave to join his brother Lucas 1. Not a terrible replacement, I guess. I mean, he did have a lot of potential, but now Furia was 4 Brazilians and an American AWPer, meaning the team would need to switch to English. Well, they kind of switched to English. It seemed that a majority of the time they were still speaking Portuguese, at least outside of the game, and just sometimes in the game were speaking English to Junior. It ended up being a complete disaster, and he would only last 6 months with the team, dropping a 0.92 rating or a 0.89 against top 20 teams. After this disaster class, he would ask to leave the team, which is valid. The environment seemed extremely weird for a young American player. The communication was awful, and I'm sure he felt incredibly isolated. He'd go back to tier 2 after his time with Furia, and was given another chance in complexity, but only posted a 0.98. He now farms tier 2 NA and has a 1.22 rating in 2025. The tier 2 NA GOAT, but don't put him in tier 1. I also gotta give Junior a D. But it doesn't end there for Furia, because to replace Junior would be their academy player, Honda. He'd been made a substitute at the start of 2021. It was more of a stand-in than anything. But even with this not-so-great situation, this was his chance to prove himself and get a shot in Tier 1. He'd post a 0.86 rating against top 20 teams. He would then be returned to the academy team 2 months after being on the main roster. Today, he plays for Crew and has posted a 0.99 in 2025. This is a brutal ad. Alright, listen, the start of this has been brutal. We've had a couple doggy players, but this is where it starts to get good. Dexter and Patsy would join Spirit in early 2021 on a package deal from Espada. Dexter was incredibly impressive, posting a 1.25 rating in 2020 and being one of the most promising prospects in all of Europe. Patsy was more of just an add-on player to this deal, as he would just become the team's 6th player. But Dexter would go on to post a 1.19 rating for Spirit in 2021 and helping the team improve drastically. They'd go from the 20th best team in the world to jumping in the top 10 and peaking at number 6. Now that's all great, but I guess the one knock you can have on Dexter is his 1.19 drop to a 1.09 against top 20 teams, which isn't a bad rating at all, don't get me wrong, but a 0.1 drop off is slightly tough. Patsy, on the other hand, wouldn't really get a chance until very late 2021, where Mir and SDY left the team, and he didn't really actually have a full roster until 2022, so I'm not going to include him in the rookies. But overall, Dexter was a huge success for Spirit. He'd eventually go on to join an EU mixed team on OG, and today he is the world famous bench MVP on Falcons. Plus, I'm sure there's going to be a warm home waiting for him, I guess before the Austin Major starts. He's got to go in A tier. 2021 is technically ZTR's rookie year. It was a little scuffed though. He joined NIP's academy team at the end of 2020 and would be promoted to the main roster in early 2021, mostly due to necessity as they had just benched Twist. I do kind of feel bad because this wasn't obviously an ideal situation to have your rookie year happen, but he did play 58 maps with the team, so I feel like I gotta include it. And I mean, hey, if he performed well, he could absolutely stay on the main team, but he didn't. He posted 8.86 against top 20 teams, and he'd be returned to the academy team after just a few short months. Rookie year wise, this would just be an F, but we know that ZTR is actually the GOAT IGL, okay? He helped Metasport become an extremely strong tier 2 team, and now he is on Gamer Legion, making them a top 10 team. Ignore the MRQ failure. So because of this, in retrospect, I'm actually gonna move ZTR up to B. Sexy Dexy. He would impress on Renegades in 2020, posting a 1.24 rating while calling the team into being the 2nd best team in Australia. So after Kerrigan would leave Mouse for FaZe, the team would need to find a new IGL, and it would be Dexter. And on paper, this move made sense. He was an incredibly hot IGL prospect, and his initial teammates would be Rops, Frozen, BMOS, and Acor. In 2021, his rating would drop to a 0.95 against top 20 teams, but I mean, he was an IGL, so all things considered, a 0.95 really isn't that bad. But Mouse would have not great results at IEM Cato and ESL Pro League. They would win Snow 3. Okay. They would then bomb out a DreamHack Masters spring 2021, but after that, we would get to witness Dexter's magnum opus, a 1.18 rating at Flashpoint Season 3, and a tournament win. Now, it was only an A-tier tournament, but there were still very good teams there, and this was an incredibly impressive result for Dexter and Mouse. Maybe this is where he would start to turn it around. No, they'd stink the rest of the year. Dexter would go on to never win another tournament with Mouse, although they did have an impressive showing at the IEM Rio Major. As of today, Dexter is benched on FlyQuest after they struggled to do anything against tier 1 competition. I think I gotta give Dexter a C tier. 2021 was the breakout year for Gambit, meaning everyone had their rookie year besides Hobbit. This all started after the Gambit youngsters team would impress, being consistently around the top 30 in the world. And after the main team crumbled, the academy team would be promoted. And when 2021 started, this team began frying. Let's look at their tournament results to start the year. Besides the very first tournament, all you can see is a 1 or a 2. That is fucking mental. At the Stockholm Major, they'd make semis, but lose to a super powered Simple and Na'Vi. As for the individuals on the team, Inters was fine as the anchor support player. Nafany seemed like a solid IGL, but the two real stars of the team were Axile and Shiro, who would both be in the top 5 of the HLTV top 20 list this year. Sadly, 2021 would be the peak of this team's powers, as they would go on to get bought out by Cloud9, win IEM Dallas 2022, but that would be the core's last ever tournament win. And as we know now, Axile, Nafany, and Inters would all have a pretty brutal fall off, but not Shiro, who is still one of the best players in the world on one of the best teams in the world. Plus, he just won a major. Shiro is easily our first S tier. Axile, due to his insane peak, I'll give an A tier. And Inters and Nafany both get D tiers. Shush and Refresh joined Heroic in early 2021 after they impressed a lot of the scene on Mad Lions. Now, I wasn't sure if I should include Refresh on this list because Buddy's been around the block, but every team he played on was tier 2, so this does actually count as his rookie year. Now, individually, these two wouldn't be insane. Refresh would put up a 1.01 and Shush a 1.03 against top 20 teams, but they were integral parts of this Heroic lineup that was easily top 5 in the world, and they would make semis of PGL Stockholm. Now, Refresh would go on to eventually get replaced by who, to be honest, did look like an upgrade, and he would never go on to really play in tier 1 again. Shush, though, would go on to be one of the best anchors in the world for years, and he would stay with Heroic through everything until he eventually got benched and now plays on NIP. Refresh gets a C, and Shush gets an A. This one won't take very long. Flames joined OG in April of 2021 as a 17-year-old rifler with a ton of potential. He'd go on to have a solid 2021, putting up a 1.09 against top 20 teams, but really broke out in 2022, where he'd post a 1.16 rating against top 10 teams, and of course have multiple insane highlights. This was enough to get him signed to Vitality, where he is currently one of the best players in the world, on the best team in the world. In 2024, he was the 7th best player on HLTV's top 20 list, and is starting to fill out his HLTV trophy list. In 2025, he has a 1.16 against top 20 teams. He's an easy S tier. We've got another extremely easy one here, boys. Bit stood in for some maps on Navi in 2020, but I'm not counting that as his rookie year, neither does HLTV, as his actual promotion to the main lineup came in 2021. And I mean, what more can even be said about Bit, man? A 1.09 against top 20 teams his rookie year. He won the Rookie of the Year award, was the HLTV number 9 player in 2021, won a major that year, and then would go on to be the only player with a major in CSGO and CS2. Still one of the best anchors in the world. Literally has the trophy sliding bar on HLTV. 16th best player of the world in 2022. Number 9 in 2024. I mean, this dude is him. The easiest of easy S tiers. Going from Bit to Kyojin is tough, man. I'm having a nice day in the golf course, drinking some brewskis with the boys, and boom, I'm hit in the head by a golf ball, knocked clean out. Except that golf ball is a French guy that posts 0.91 ratings. It's crazy, man, because him and Bit kind of went into similar-ish situations. Rookie riflers who are thrown into good teams as anchors, except Bit got a shot on Navi because he was good. Kyojin got a shot on Vitality because he was French. He'd win one tournament with the team, but in that tournament, he tanked hard and was carried by Zywoo. He'd then be on the team for less than a year, would eventually be in some strange French Falcons team, and would never really get another chance in tier 1. That's an app. Poor fucking Bubsky, man. I'm sure you've heard of this tragic tale. He joined Astralis as an incredibly talented and young rifler in 2020 as their 6th. Now, there was an incredibly weird trend during this era of online CS where a lot of teams did have just sub-6th players, and unfortunately, because of this, Bubsky would just get used and abused. He'd just be randomly thrown into matches and expected to be performing well until he eventually just became like their specialized nuke player. What the fuck? He didn't play well in 2020, posting a 0.92 rating, but is that really his fault? Now, I'm counting 2021 as his rookie year because that's when he was actually promoted to the full-time starting lineup, and due to the dumpster fire that Astralis was, he would just have a 0.99 rating, which I guess, considering the situation, isn't that bad. But what gets really sad is after playing with the team for a few months, he would learn he was just being benched for the Stockholm major, which was going to be the first major he had ever played in. He was obviously very excited, and this just hit him like a truck. Now, eventually in 2022, Bubsky was freed from jail, but would never play on another team due to the situation probably being just too traumatic. I'm giving Bubsky a DNP. How can I truly grade this clusterfuck of a situation? Might as well do Lucky right after, eh? Another talented young Danish player, Astralis, tried their hardest to ruin. After impressing as the main upper of Tricked, he would get called up to Astralis after Device left for NIP. He'd start out as just their 6th player, but would eventually be promoted in August of 2021. Now he'd actually play in the major, unlike Bubsky, where the team failed to make playoffs and he'd post a .88 rating. Yikes. During his time with the team in 2021, he'd only have a .93 rating, and in May of 2022, he'd be replaced by Farlig. His rookie year was brutal, but he's been fine going back to tier 2. If he can't play in tier 1, he can't get higher than a D. While we're on the topic of scuffed organizations promoting players who never had a chance in the first place, let's talk about LNZ, who is very similar to ZTR. These damn Swedish IGLs love their 3-letter names, man. He was on the NIP Academy team, boosted to the main roster due to dysfunction, and would post a .91 during his time on the team. But when he was on the team, they would actually do fairly well. They'd win IEM Fall 2021 Europe and even make the playoffs of PGL Major Stockholm, but eventually he'd go back to their academy team and eventually join tier 2 team Sangal. During his time IGLing for the team, they would be actually really good in the tier 2 space, and now is calling for Heroic, who looks like they have a ton of potential. LNZ is gonna get a B tier from me. Remember those Junior and Honda guys who weren't great on Furia? Well, the third player in that saga would be another one from Furia's academy team. Drop would go on to replace Honda after a very lackluster performance. He got the call up due to being pretty solid in their academy team, posting a 1.05 rating. Nothing insane, but he wasn't awful. He wouldn't play a ton of top 20 teams in 2021, but when he did, he posted a .93 rating. Rookie year-wise, it wasn't great, but he would actually find himself in the upper echelon of Brazilian Counter-Strike for a few years. He'd be on Furia until the middle of 2023, where he'd eventually join MIBR. He'd end his time on Furia with a .91 rating against top 20 teams. Not great, but on MIBR, it really wasn't that much better. He jumped up to a .93 against top 20 teams. But like, his time in the team is weird. He switched to IGLing closer to the end, and that didn't go great. But even before that, he was like clearly individually the worst player on the team. He now plays on retirement home Red Canids and has a 1 rating in 2025. He's never really been that good, but I respect the longevity. You can have D tier, I guess. Flit would have his breakout year with 4s in 2020, posting a 1.15 rating and gaining the attention of Jame in VP. He'd go on to join in late 2021 and have a solid rookie year, posting a 1.07 rating against top 20 teams. He would then go on to win the major with Outsiders, where he would post a 1.25. Absolute monster fucking tournament. But this is literally his only tournament win on his HLTV page besides some scuffed tier 2 ESL Challenger event. Honestly, one major tournament win in your profile is pretty fucking Sigma, if you ask me. VP has been a pretty rocky team ever since that major win, but throughout, Flit has been a very good rifler for them. I gotta give him an A tier at the very least. And finally, this was technically the rookie year for all of the Copenhagen Flames guys. Now, I get it, okay? They're a tier 2 team, but they were so solid in 2021, they kinda broke into tier 1. They did very well at IEM Fall 2021 Europe, where they made the playoffs, which allowed them to make the Stockholm Major. They would then cook even further, going 3-0 in the Challenger stage of that major, where they tied with FaZe record-wise, finished ahead of teams like VP, Astralis, Mouse, Heroic, Spirit. Hooksy was calling great games, and Roy J was a demon. He posted a 1.36 in this Challenger stage, followed by Nico Dawes with a 1.14, Yabby with a 106, and Zyphoon with a 104. These boys were good, and they would just barely miss out on the playoffs after going up 2-1 and losing a BO1 to Heroic, who made the semis, and NIP, where they lost a heartbreaking map 3 in overtime. This major run was good enough to get pretty much the entire team poached. Hooksy would go on to be picked up by G2, Nico Dawes and Roy J to Fnatic, and Yabby to Heroic. Hooksy and Yabby would go on to win tournaments with G2 and Heroic. Nico Dawes and Roy J were kind of bust in Fnatic. They weren't awful, but they wouldn't last very long on the team. And Zyphoon just kind of never got out of tier 2. Looking at today though, all of these players, maybe besides Zyphoon, had a very strangely similar career arc. They all had incredible hype after their Copenhagen Flames major run, would start pretty strong and would all kind of fizzle out towards the end. Hooksy was kicked out of G2 after a while of meh results. Yabby destroyed an entire team and joined Astralis to do nothing. At least him and Hooksy are reunited in the end, I guess. Roy J went back to tier 2 after Fnatic and had nowhere near the success he had on Copenhagen Flames, and eventually retired in early 2025. Nico Dawes would actually get more chances in tier 1 after Fnatic, joining Heroic, but he was just simply too much of a hybrid player when they needed a pure AWPer. So he was eventually kicked and is now on OG, who, to be fair, do look pretty strong and just qualified through the MRQ's 3-0. So maybe there's potential there. I'll give Yabby and Hooksy a B, and Roy J and Nico Dawes can get a C. Now, it was also the rookie year for all of the Entropic guys, but I'm not going to talk about Nickelback, Lack1, Crad, Elian, and Forrester. They're kind of whatever. They just went back to tier 2. And it was nearly the rookie years for Favin and OC, as they did get picked up by tier 1 teams, but it was too late and they would never play a tier 1 tournament. Alright guys, here's the final list. I feel like S tier is undebatable. I like who I got in A tier. I think B tier is pretty valid right now. I could see, honestly, ZTR moving up on this list, honestly, pretty quickly. Sucks that Gamer Legion missed the major. If they made the major, made playoffs, he'd get moved up for sure, but it is what it is. I think C tier is good, D tier good. This all looks good to me. Fucking A, man. I didn't even realize we had this many rookies in 2021, to be honest with you. It's what? This is 24 rookies. This is way higher than a normal year, I would think, right? And there's even the guys on Entropic I didn't count, so you could do more. Overall, we got a couple gems out of this rookie class, a couple stinkers, but hey man, that's how it goes. Anyways, that's it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see another one of these years, let me know in the comments. I'll do whatever year next. If you even want to see another one. But anyways, that's it. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll see you all later.